Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, your one-stop for the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Campaigning ends for the 6th phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh and the first phase for Manipur. Votes to be cast for 49 constituencies in UP and 38 in Manipur on the 4th of March. Electioneering in full swing in UP. BJP party president Amit Shah addresses a rally in Azamgarh and a roadshow in Gorakhpur. Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav addresses 7 rallies in Balia. Thousands of Jat community members reached Delhi in protests. Besides reservations in education and government jobs, protesters demand release of those jailed during last year's stir. And British Prime Minister Theresa May suffers a setback to Brexit timetable. Upper House of Parliament passes amendment that sends the bill back to the House of Commons for further debate. First, let's get to the latest from the ongoing Assembly elections in Verdict 2017. Campaigning for the 6th and penultimate phase of polling in UP ended on Thursday. 49 constituencies spread across 7 districts will vote in this phase, in fact, of the 6th phase on the 4th of March. 635 candidates, including 63 women, are in the fray in Azamgarh, Gorakhpur, Balia, Kushinagar, Deoria, Maharajganj and Mau in this phase. 1.72 crore voters are eligible to exercise their franchisee. The BSP is contesting all 49 seats, while the BJP is fielding candidates in 45. The Samajwadi Party will fight on 40, while the Congress on 10, and the RLD has in fact fielded names for 36 seats. Meanwhile, campaigning ended in Manipur as well for the first phase of elections. 38 assembly constituencies will see voting in the first phase of the 2 phases of on the 4th of March. 168 candidates are in the fray. BJP is contesting in all the 60 seats. Congress, though, hasn't fielded candidates in Churchandpur and Kangpokpi constituencies. There are 11 independents. The UNC, the United Naga Council, is fighting on 15 seats. The other parties in the race are Irom Sharmila's People's Resurgence and Justice Alliance, or Praja, the Left Democratic Front and the Naga People's Front. Now, the BJP on Thursday wrote to the Election Commission demanding deployment of women police officials at booths during the 6th and 7th phase of elections in UP to check the voter IDs of burqa-clad women. The demand was made in order to avoid bogus voting. The party has also asked for the deployment of paramilitary forces at polling booths in sensitive areas for the remaining 2 phases. The 6th and 7th phase polling will be held on the 4th of March and the 8th of March. And as expected, campaigning reached its peak on Thursday for the 6th phase. Key leaders of the major political parties held multiple rallies and roadshows at various places across UP. Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his first rally in Balia and said that the Prime Minister makes a lot of noise but delivers very little. He also highlighted the development schemes and also welfare schemes of his government. Akhilesh's wife and MP Dimple Yadav also held 3 rallies in Azamgarh. Samajwadi Party's alliance partner and Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also attacked the Prime Minister over the issue of unemployment at a rally in Maharajganj. Rahul further blamed Modi for allegedly making false promises to the people of the country. Meanwhile, on the last day of campaigning for the 6th phase, BJP President Amit Shah held a roadshow in Gorakhpur along with BJP MLA Yogi Adityanath. Addressing the crowd, Shah maintained that the BJP will get full majority in UP and the people are with the Prime Minister. He slammed the ruling SP government over stalled development in the state. And many political heavyweights today campaign for the 7th phase as well. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi himself addressed a public rally in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's constituency, Varanasi, and attacked the Prime Minister for supporting corporate companies instead of working for the welfare of the poor. While BSP Chief Mayawati addressed rallies in Bhadoi and Chandoli constituencies, Attacking the BJP, Mayawati said that the Prime Minister is imagining his party's victory in the state. She also lashed out at the ruling Samajwadi Party, saying that most of the welfare schemes which the state government claims to have started were actually initiated by her party when she was in power. Elections for the 7th and final phase are scheduled for the 8th of March, in which 40 constituencies of eastern UP will be going to polls. The important districts in this phase will be Jaunpur, Varanasi, Ghazipur and Mirzapur. Remember, in the 2012 assembly elections, the SP won 23 seats, BSP 5 and 4 went to the BJP, while 3 were won by the Congress in this phase.
बीजेपी अपने किसी भी चेहरे को प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में पेश करने की अपनी अभी तक की हिम्मत नहीं दिखा पाई, तो कांग्रेस पार्टी भी यहाँ सपा के ऐसे दागी चेहरों के साथ ही गठबंधन करके ये चुनाव लड़ रही है।
50 सबसे अमीर परिवारों को नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 1,40,000 करोड़ रुपया कर्जा माफ करके दिया है। यूपी के किसानों को क्या दिया? जो यहां बनारसी साड़ी बनाते हैं उनको क्या दिया? लखनऊ में जो आम उगाता है उसको क्या दिया? मुरादाबाद में जो ब्रासलेट का काम करता है उसको क्या दिया? सिर्फ खोखले शब्द, लंबे लंबे भाषण।
Now, Azamgarh, that votes in the 6th phase on Saturday, is important for the ruling Samajwadi Party. Having won 9 of the 10 assembly seats from the district in 2012 and sending Mulayam Singh Yadav to the Lok Sabha in 2014, the party would like to hold on to its bastion. Now, the region has a Muslim Yadav caste matrix that the SP is banking on to meet the challenge from the BJP and the BSP in a triangular contest.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav is leaving no stone unturned to retain Samajwadi Party bastion Azamgarh.
हम समाजवादियों ने क्रिसमस में भी जमीन बिजली देने का काम बना दिया उसे।
With his father and local MP Mulayam Singh Yadav largely absent on the campaign trail here, Akhilesh has made sure that he's seen plenty in the district. The Chief Minister has held 7 public meetings in Azamgarh with promises to build schools, hospitals and bridges, even as his father barely campaigns outside of Saifai. However, what could work in Akhilesh's favour this time is that the SP voter now accepts him as the future of the party. Its Yadav vote bank too seems intact.
तमाम अस्पताल बना दिया, दवाई गरीबों के, खाद पानी सब ले आया है, सब दिया है साहब, और रोड बना दिया, जहाँ तनी भासी है काम बहुत किया है। अरे वो निकाल दिया, बात तो अपने में झगड़ा है, आपस का झगड़ा है, लेकिन अखिलेश पर हम लोग हैं, मुलायम पर हैं।
अगर हम विकास करें हैं, अच्छा विकास के लिए दे रहा हूँ, जो विकास करेगा वही की मिलेगा।
उन्हीं की चलाई हुई ये 108 वाली योजना है, रोड है, समाजवादी पेंशन योजना है, तमाम तरह की सुविधा है। अरे नहीं, काम के लिए काम भी कर रहे हैं, ऐसी बात थोड़ी नहीं,
काम भी कर रहे हैं,
हाँ,
यादव भी हैं।
The BJP, on the other hand, has made its presence felt in the region with party bigwigs addressing several rallies in the district. They are trying to consolidate the non-Yadav backward vote.
वजह यह है कि विकास करने का लक्ष्य उन्हीं का है, मोदी जी का।
अखिलेश यादव ने
ना अखिलेश यादव ने खाली सिर्फ गुंडागर्दी, राह चलते में कोई बहन बेटी आपकी सुरक्षित नहीं है, स्कूल जाते हैं तो बहन बेटी को लोग छेड़ना और उल्टा सीधा गुंडागर्दी करते हैं।
एक सोच है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी एक सोच है, उसकी तरफ मैं हूँ।
और आप बताइए?
मेरे भी बीजेपी।
कोई खास वजह?
सोच बदले, विकास बदले।
ये देश के लिए चोरों से बचाना चाहिए, ये जो भ्रष्टाचार मचा रखे हैं, ये देश को बचाना है, इनको इसलिए बीजेपी नरेंद्र मोदी को लाना है।
But Mayawati's BSP could turn the tables on both Samajwadi Party and the BJP. They have a healthy mix of Muslim and upper caste candidates in the fray, and the Dalit voter is holding its cards close.
हम लोग अनुसूचित जात में आते हैं।
हाँ,
हाँ,
तो अनुसूचित जाति की नेता बहन जी ही हैं।
जी,
तो आप उन्हीं को वोट देते हैं हमेशा?
जी,
और इस बार भी देंगे?
जी।
परिवार के लोग अब हम कैसे बताएं, अभी हमको नहीं पता।
की तो बात होती है घर में।
अब हमको कैसे पता, अब जिसका जहाँ मन करेगा वहीं देगा। ये भैया अब वहाँ जात जात जहाँ वोट पड़ी, अब जेकर भाग चढ़चढ़ाई वही के दई जाए।
Clearly, the Samajwadi Party cannot rest on its laurels from 2012 when it won 9 of the 10 seats in Azamgarh. This time around, they have both the BSP and the BJP to contend with.
Traditional vote bank of Samajwadi Party seems to be intact in district of Azamgarh, but BSP and BJP have also worked on social equations, and if it's a triangular fight in this district, things will not be very easy for Samajwadi Party. With cameraman Anirban, this is Sham Sundar, Rajya Sabha TV, Azamgarh.
And speaking of Manipur, it is a multiple issue election and host of insurgent organizations also pose a threat in conducting peaceful elections there. Our correspondent Akhilesh Suman spoke exclusively to the Chief Electoral Officer Vivek Kumar Divangan, who is confident of conducting free and fair polls in the state.
Election machine is fully geared up to hold a transparent, free, fair and peaceful election in Manipur. Phase 1 election will be covering Imphal East, Imphal West and Ukpi district out of 2,794 polling stations in Manipur. First, phase 1 will be covering 1,643 polling stations.
So there must be some vulnerable and some critical polling booths because Manipur is prone to some insurgency and violent activities. So what is the situation of those booths?
As per the guideline of Election Commission of India, we have carried out extensive vulnerability mapping exercise, and after this exercise, out of 2,794 polling stations, 837 polling stations have been identified as stations and 529 polling stations have been identified as vulnerable polling station location. All these critical polling stations will be covered by the macro observers. We are making special security arrangement at this critical and vulnerable polling station. For the first time in Manipur, we are covering all 2,794 polling stations by web streaming. Wherever we have 3G internet connectivity available, reliable connectivity is there, we'll be doing real-time web streaming, what is happening inside the polling station. Wherever 3G internet connectivity is not there, we'll be covering offline recording, so that if anything goes on within the polling station, we'll be able to capture it, and if in case repoll required, we'll not hesitate to order repoll.
Okay. So there are so many issues in Manipur. So in that case, violence also is prone to violence. So what is the major security arrangement for this phase?
Full Election Commission has been in continuously in touch with us. They visited Manipur on 21st and 22nd February. Thereafter, they had 3 rounds of video conference with Chief Secretary, DGP and all the stakeholders. And we have mobilized all the security agencies, including Army, Assam Rifle. They have been advised to do area domination so that any insurgents, underground elements, they shall not be able to influence our voters. They will not be able to disturb our polling process.
With a quick break here, we'll be back with more national and international news in a bit. Stay with us.
Optical fiber today is our major activity. We have developed an equivalent Indian clay. We export 40% of our production in this country of these tiles, and there is no imported component today in that tile. The savings estimated is around 2,100 crores per year, that too in foreign exchange.
Watch Eureka with Dr. K. Muralidharan, Director, CSIR, Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. Let's get you another one of the top stories today. The RSS-backed ABVP today held a Save DU march that its organizers said was aimed at bringing back peace in Delhi University, accusing left organizations of inciting violence on campus over a seminar that was cancelled at Ramjas College on the 22nd of February. Students who turned up from many colleges said that they had come to protest against attempts to misguide the youth.
2 days
Since Tuesday's Save DU demonstration led by left organisation ISA on North Campus, a counter-march by the members of the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad and the Delhi University Students' Union. Holding up posters denouncing Marxism and Naxalism, the students shouted slogans in defence of nationalism. Carrying a giant national flag at the arts faculty, protesters demanded accountability for what they called police inaction against people who allegedly raised anti-India slogans at the Jawaharlal Nehru University last year.
दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में देश विरोधी नारेबाजी 21 फरवरी को की गई। पिछले साल 9 फरवरी को जेएनयू में देश विरोधी नारेबाजी वामपंथियों के द्वारा की गई थी। हमारा दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन से, दिल्ली पुलिस से और केंद्र सरकार से हमें मांग करते हैं, दिल्ली सरकार से मांग करते हैं कि ऐसे देशद्रोही तत्वों के खिलाफ तुरंत कार्रवाई की जाए। जिन भी लोगों ने कश्मीर की आज़ादी के, भारत के बर्बादी के नारे लगाए, उन लोगों को जेल के पीछे होना चाहिए, ना कि विश्वविद्यालयों में।
Students said they were protesting against outsiders who were coming to the university for political ends and spreading misinformation. ABVP members also said their organization was being wrongly framed for the violence at Ramjas College. Others spoke for the need to uphold nationalism.
अगर राष्ट्रवाद पे विवाद होगा तो निश्चित रूप से उस बहस में हम लोग हिस्सा लेंगे और इसका कारण बड़ा स्पष्ट है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की इस देश के प्रति और लगाव के प्रति जो मूल विचारधारा है, उसमें कोई देश को तोड़ने की बात करता है तो निश्चित रूप से हमारी पार्टी का जो रवैया है हम लोग उसको आगे रखेंगे।
कोर्ट के सामने ये साबित हो चुका है कि जो वीडियोस जो दिखा रहे वो सब वीडियोस जो है डॉक्टर्ड है। तो क्या क्या बातें कर रहे हैं? वो कौन होते हैं? अपने आप को अपॉइंट कर ले कि भाई हम तय करेंगे कौन है देशभक्त, कौन है देशद्रोही।
आपकी बात से सहमत नहीं होने वालों की मारपीटाई की जाती है, ये देश हित के खिलाफ है, ये नहीं होना चाहिए। अपनी बातें कहने का जनता फैसला करेगी कि आप सही कह रहे हैं या गलत कह रहे हैं।
In Haryana, Minister Anil Vij said those supporting Delhi University Gurmehar Kaur's views were pro-Pakistan, triggering an uproar in the state assembly.
ये जो कौर लड़की है, उसके पिताजी कारगिल युद्ध में शहीद हुए थे, कैप्टन थे। विद्यार्थी परिषद वाला सब गंदा गंदा वायरल करके उस लड़की को टॉर्चर कर रहा है। इसको संभल के व्यवहार करे, नहीं तो ठीक बात नहीं है देश के लिए।
The Save DU march of ABVP that started from the arts faculty and passing through many North Campus colleges finally culminated at the Swami Vivekanand statue. With inputs from Anu Diwan, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And agitating Jats from Haryana brought their protest to the national capital on Thursday. The protesters plan to submit a memorandum on the quota issue to the president and also plan to gherao parliament. Jat leaders claim that protesters in Haryana have started non-cooperation with the government and will not pay electricity and water bills or pay the installments of government loans.
The Jat agitation for quota in jobs and education reached Delhi on Thursday, with thousands from the community descending at Jantar Mantar to extend support to the movement in Haryana.
देखिए, सरकार जो मामला कोर्ट में, इस पर तो कोर्ट ही सुनवाई करेगा, लेकिन जो बाकी 7 मांगे हैं उसके अलावा उस पर तो सरकार के हाथ में है वो सारी मांगे।
मैसेज एक्चुअली केंद्र सरकार को मैसेज देने आए हैं, क्योंकि हरियाणा सरकार टोटली विफल रही है हमारी समस्याओं का समाधान करने में। तो हरियाणा में जितने भी हमारे भाई बंधु बैठे हैं, लगभग 20-25 लाख तक की क्राउड वहाँ बैठ चुका है रोडों पे, और 10 लाख लोग डेली धरने पे बैठते हैं और डेली जाते हैं 22 राज्यों में।
Roads leading to the protest center were packed with Jat agitators from Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Delhi and Punjab. If a solution is not found soon, Delhiites are in for a tough time ahead.
आज अपनी मांगों से अवगत कराएंगे, संसद मार्च करेंगे और जरूरत पड़ी तो गिरफ्तारियां देंगे, और इसके बाद हम लोग आज दिल्ली कूच की तारीखों का ऐलान करेंगे, जिसमें 13 राज्यों के 50 लाख से ज्यादा जाट अपने ट्रैक्टर ट्रॉलियों के साथ शामिल होंगे, और उसके बाद एक ऐतिहासिक मूवमेंट वो होगा, और वो तब तक चलेगा जब तक मांगे नहीं मानी जाएगी।
Students of Delhi University belonging to the community also took out a protest rally from Mukherjee Nagar in North Delhi. supporting the agitation.
हम सारे जंतर मंतर जा रहे हैं, जाट आरक्षण की मांग हमारी और मोदी सरकार हमारी बात सुने।
जो हरियाणा सरकार ने भाईचारा बिगाड़ा है, हम ये काला फटका नहीं, ये कफन बांध के निकले हैं। हम मरने के लिए तैयार है। अगर सरकार हमारी बातें नहीं सुनती तो हम किसी भी हद तक जा सकते हैं।
Besides seeking quota in education and government jobs, Jats are demanding the release of those jailed during last year's stir, withdrawal of cases slapped during the protest, and government jobs for the kin of those killed and injured during the agitation. With inputs from Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now international news, and British Prime Minister Theresa May has suffered a serious setback to her Brexit timetable after the upper house of Parliament or the House of Lords passed an amendment to the Brexit bill. In fact, the House of Lords amendment insists guaranteeing the rights of European Union nationals currently living in the UK. The peers voted 358 votes to 256 in favour of the amendment, which means the Brexit bill will now return to the House of Commons for further debate. This will delay the passing of the bill and puts in doubt the end of March timetable flagged by the British Prime Minister to trigger Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty and formally begin the separation from the EU. The vote is the first parliamentary defeat for the government's Brexit bill. May's Conservatives do not have a majority in the upper chamber.
They did feel strongly about it, but I still think they're wrong. I don't think you can separate the matter of EU nationals in this country from the situation of British citizens abroad, and we have a duty of care for them as well. And I think they ought to be considered together. I think by passing, if this became effective, I don't think it will, it would actually have the effect of leaving British citizens abroad stranded and neglected.
And now let's give you some more international news updates in Global Buzz. Residents in western Mosul's Mamun district fled the fighting zone as Iraqi forces fight Islamic State militants in the group's stronghold. US-backed Iraqi forces fought off a counter-attack by the militants during bad weather in the early hours of Thursday. Civilians fleeing the fighting will be housed in 2 camps set up by the Iraqi government to serve as temporary shelter. Syrian government forces have entered the city of Palmyra. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that government troops and their allies fought their way into Palmyra on Wednesday, driving back Islamic State militants who've held the historic city since December. Islamic State captured Palmyra, whose ancient ruins are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, twice during Syria's 6-year conflict. North Korea has condemned a joint military drill between South Korea and the United States and warned of retaliation. South Korean and US troops began an annual large-scale joint military exercise on Wednesday to test their defense readiness against a threat from North Korea. The South said that the joint drills are an annual and defensive exercise, and the military will sternly retaliate against the North if provoked. Malaysia will cancel visa-free entry for North Koreans from the 6th of March. North Koreans will be required to obtain a visa before entering Malaysia for reasons of national security. The decision comes following the murder of Kim Jong-nam, the estranged brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, in Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia is one of the few countries that North Koreans could visit without a visa. Under a reciprocal arrangement, Malaysians are among Yilong 2, the second version of China's independently developed unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV, has successfully completed its maiden flight. With this, China becomes the second world power after the US to develop an all-in-one large-scale spy and attack UAVs. The UAV has a maximum flying height of 9,000 meters with a maximum speed of 370 kilometers per hour. Yilong 2 can carry about a dozen air-to-surface weapons on its 6 weapon racks. And finally, all the updates from the world of sports in SportsBeat. The support staff of the Indian cricket team has turned down the 25% hike offered by the BCCI. According to reports, the staff, including batting coach Sanjay Bangar and fielding coach R. Sridhar, have refused the offer as they were promised a 100% raise by former Secretary Ajay Shirke and President Anurag Thakur. Rohan Bopanna and doubles partner Martin Matkowski have reached the doubles semi-finals of the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. The unseeded Indo-Polish pair knocked out Romania's Florin Mergia and Serbia's Viktor Troicki 6-3, 6-4 in the quarterfinals. Reigning Australian Open champion Roger Federer has crashed out of the Dubai Duty-Free Championships. The 18-time Grand Slam winner lost to world number 116 Russian Evgeny Doskoy 3-6, 7-6, 7-6. Federer wasted 3 match points in the second set and led 5-2 in the third before losing to Donskoy. Luis Enrique will step down as Barcelona manager at the end of the season when his contract expires. Enrique made the announcement on Wednesday after his team beat Sporting Gijon 6-1. Luis Enrique won 8 titles with Barcelona since he took over in 2014 and still has the chance to win 3 more before leaving. That's all we have for you in the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.